What the heck?
I know. Why'd you get off screen?
My little thing, my hold on here. My new webcam just stopped. It just like, oh, there it goes. There it goes. Hey, there I
Hey.
am. All right. So, Misty, you want to tell what this is about?
Yeah. So apparently there is this a Michigan press release that just got sent to me via Brandy from the Doctor Patient Forum. Shout out to you, girl.
Thank you.
Um, huh?
I was saying thank you.
Oh, I thought you were yelling into the thing. That microphone's pretty good on that webcam.
Oh, so you can't tell a difference?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I feel like
Um,
I'm yelling now.
okay, hold on. I got too many things going on. Okay,
And I
hold on.
will say, just disclaimer, like when these press conferences and stuff happen, like these people
They're well
have,
connected.
yes, and you better bet your bottom dollar there's money included. This
Yep.
ain't
And
just
when I
for the
skimmed
cutest
through
little
it,
cat.
you could tell that it's that chick that made that new Kratom documentary that just came out. She got to go cross state to state or what have you, to show the amount of money they spent making that documentary. They got to prove it's worth it. So, where'd you go?
Man, why does this keep happening? It keeps on cutting, like just going away. I'm gonna have to mess with it later.
Just unplug it.
No, it's not.
It's been one of them days.
Oh, and last night, technology hates me. Now my FaceTime. Okay, there it goes. No, there it won't go. There it goes. Okay, we're
Okay.
just gonna do this.
Okay.
For now. All right.
Oh, I gotta go share your stream.
Yeah, my phone went dead, so I have to wait for it to start up on my Winifred.
Yep. Yep.
It has been a very long day.
Very long day. So after we watch this PR stunt, we are gonna
That's
play the
exactly what it is, Misty, is
PR
a
stunt.
PR stunt.
Yeah. Then we're gonna replay the Ohio hearing that happened today. The Arizona hearing got held, so we can't even watch that.
Yeah, we waited for like 2 hours.
2 hours. This is what we do at our time. This is what advocates do. Sit around and wait. Okay. Hey, Brandy. Thank you for sending this to me.
Yes, thank you. It's a fun life. You got that right, sister.
You know what? I saw that you mentioned me on a video earlier. I haven't went and got active on TikTok yet, so I'll go check it out in a little bit. We've been streaming hearings all damn day. How do you put the background thing on it? Did you have to press the extra button to do that?
Yeah.
Your blood pressure ball, and I bet this is a PR stunt. This is a PR stunt for real.
I oh, money, money is the root of all evil.
Yeah. And I haven't seen this documentary. They're probably doing all this so that they can get it on Netflix or
Oh
Hulu
yeah.
or something. I don't know what the channels you gotta go through to get on them platforms, but I don't know. I don't know, man. I just know I'm alive today because of Kratom. Yeah, I know that I'm that picks up. You know what? That happens in waves. People getting their content reported. It happens in waves, and we know why. This
Yep.
this chick, this chick in this press conference is involved with the anti group. I don't even like saying their damn name.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of people don't even realize, like, the whole reason these lawsuits and stuff are going, or these bans and stuff are being pushed is for the lawsuits.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to, Bev's whole video.
Yep. And now that we've, Bev helped connect the dots with finding out that Andrew Kolodny is involved with all this as well. And I had the undesirable pleasure to bump into him at the Florida Creative Symposium in February.
I still cannot believe that.
I still can't believe it. He's just like, how did you even get there? Like,
Money.
who invited you? Yeah,
Okay.
Michael. Yep.
Yep. I can keep up the chat and then play it, or I can do like full screen.
Let's just keep it. This is just, I don't know, go with the flow. I gotta go live too here at 6:30. I do adaptive fitness here weekly. Okay, yes, you go, girl. You go, girl. I'll check out the video you tagged me in later. Have fun. Stay hydrated.
Stay hydrated. Okay, let me see. I'm trying to figure out. Okay. Okay. So, if you want me to go bigger,
I think it's big enough, honestly.
yeah.
What'd that say? Ban Kratom speaker Matt Hall. Why, Matt?
Why? That's not even, that don't even look like a kratom leaf. It looks like a fern. It's like a fern leaf upside down.
What did Kratom do to you, brother?
Well, it's good to be with everyone today. I know this is probably, you're pretty excited. We're doing 2 in 1 week, 2 press conferences in 1 week, so pretty exciting. Now, I do have a teletown hall that I'm doing at 5:30, so I'm gonna, we might not get the full press conference experience, so I want to apologize to the media. I know how much you like that. But no, I just wanted to talk about today's legislative calendar. It was very disappointing to see every Democrat vote against our bill to ban Kratom. You guys probably know that 8 other states have banned Kratom completely, including Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Wisconsin, which we share borders with, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Connecticut. They've banned it completely. We know that Kratom is a very deadly drug that can be found in all over the place. It can be found in the drugstores. It can be found all over. It's very addictive, and it's killing a lot of people all over the country and here in Michigan. And so it's important that we ban the Kratom, get it out of these liquor stores and drugstores, and ensure that that our people are safe, our kids, but also, many people. This is very similar to heroin and a lot of other opioids, and so just being able to get this on the counter over at the liquor store is a very bad thing, and that's why we want to ban it, because we want to protect not just kids, but all kinds of people. I mean, we've heard stories of people who maybe they were struggling with an opioid addiction and they started using Kratom because they thought it was natural, and then they got hooked on it and died. And you can hear story after story about that. It's a very sad thing. I'm proud that the Republican caucus came together, stood up to the lobbyists, and pushed that through over the line today. into the Senate, so we're one step closer to banning kratom, getting this poison out of our state, and protecting many lives. And so I wanted to, I have up here with me Patty Wheeler, who her son died from kratom, unfortunately, very tragic. And she started a foundation called A Beautiful Life Stolen, so we're going to have her talk for a couple minutes. But first, I wanted our bill sponsor, who's been working very hard on this, Cam Cavett, just to talk about it for a few minutes. Go ahead, Cam.
Thank you, Speaker. Wow, you know, we got it across the finish line today. It's really disappointing that we didn't get a single Democratic vote today to help us with that. But, you know, I started out on this when a constituent reached out who lost her son, Dakota, to kratom. She's a Sioux tribal member, and she started telling me about how this was done. So we looked into it and realized the large focus of this market is geared towards children. They market this towards children. It comes in candy. They make it in cotton candy flavors. They make powders to put into drinks.
That's
And
708,
what's funny is
buddy.
A lot of this comes from
Yeah.
Southeast Asia and particularly China. And it's illegal in China. They don't let their citizens use it, but they import it over here.
What?
So I just don't feel that's proper. I think there's ulterior motives there. That's certainly, but our children are dying. The numbers aren't necessarily accurate right now, but as more coroners are finding this happening, they're screening autopsies, and the more autopsies that they do, they're finding out that kratom was the cause of death. So I'm proud to be able to sponsor this bill today, and thank you all for being here. I'm going to let the speaker talk. Thank you.
Great, yeah, and so now we'll bring Patty up here. I know this was a very emotional day for Patty. She's gone all over the country and advocated in other states about the dangers of kratom. And it just happened she was here today while we were moving this bill, and so I wanted her to have the opportunity to give her thoughts on the bill today and the problem overall of kratom. So welcome, Patty. Great to have you here. Yep.
Thank you, Speaker Hall. Wow, this is a very emotional day for me. I never imagined myself to be an advocate. In 2022, October, I lost my twin son, Wyatt, to kratom, and he was with his twin brother when it happened, and my journey took me to produce a documentary, a film about kratom. And it is not a film to evoke outrage. It was a film to request attention. We needed transparency, we needed awareness, and we needed proper labeling. Michigan today did an unbelievable thing. I have been honored to be with Utah, Virginia, Connecticut, now in Michigan, supporting such a law, a ban. This needed to happen. Everyone needed to take a pause. Real lives are being lost because of kratom. And no matter what is said about mixing kratom, if you take a Zyrtec and then you use kratom, you should not lose your life because of that. People deserve to know what they're putting in their body, and they need to know before it goes to market. We have a right for that information. We need not put lab coats on our gas station attendants and our vape store operators. That is not a position for them. So when you're using kratom for a medical reason, it should not be allowed to be sold in our stores. And I just thank you, and I thank you for writing this bill. And again, I'm in shock. I did not expect to be here, but I am so grateful that I shared this and was able to feel the presence of Wyatt. I know that he is with this vote, and it was very necessary. Thank you.
Yeah, well, of course.
So you telling me it went
Any
through with
questions
nobody
for us
testifying?
about the bill? while I got Patty up here. All right. Yeah, go ahead, Beth.
So this is, I haven't reviewed the bill very, this is an all-out ban on.
Correct, yes. It's an all-out ban.
Is there any kind of future consideration
Do
of regulation of it, or is it just, are they just closing?
Well, we're banning kratom. I think if you're, now in the bill, we're banning kratom. You probably know that the FDA has found no legitimate use for kratom, no medical benefit for kratom. The amendment we adopted today by Phil Green would open the door if there is, if the FDA does someday find some kind of benefit to kratom, then to the extent that there is a medical use for kratom, then it would be allowed for that purpose. All synthetic kratom would be banned. All of the regular kratom would be banned unless there was a medical use that the FDA determined that there was a use. Now, right now, there is none. The FDA does not find any use for kratom. And in reality, I think it's being used, they kind of market it as natural, but what we're finding, and maybe Patty, you want to add to this, we're finding that it's very addictive, whether it's in the synthetic form or in the regular form, it's very addictive, and maybe you can talk more about that in a second. And that's why we're trying to ban it. And many people, they start taking it because they think it's natural, but they're not taking natural kratom, they're taking very bad kratom. And so I know that some of the lobbyists up in Lansing, they try to argue there's good kratom and there's bad kratom. That's just a ridiculous argument. That doesn't resonate in our districts. I mean, people all over Michigan are seeing a lot of people, whether they're kids or adults, going in, purchasing kratom. You can get it right on the counter at the liquor store or the gas station. I mean, I went down to Metro Detroit. Some of you reporters live in Metro Detroit. I go to the gas station in Metro Detroit, and they built big signs. They're like this big, even in Grand Rapids, and they say kratom, buy your kratom here. And you go there, and it's very dangerous stuff, and people take it. There's no medical guidance as they're taking it, and then they get killed because they're taking stuff that interacts with other drugs improperly. They're taking stuff that is a highly dangerous opioid, and they're dying. This is one of the top things that I hear from our police chiefs across the state, and particularly in Southeast Michigan, that they're struggling with the kratom. It's getting into the schools. It's causing problems there. It's causing many deaths and illnesses across our state. And as Cam noted, many of the deaths it's creating are not even tracked because they register as other kind of deaths, not kratom deaths. It's my understanding that some of the traditional tests don't necessarily detect this. So it seems like it's a much bigger problem, but if you talk to police chiefs and law enforcement, this is a growing problem. So I don't know if there's more you want to add, Patty, to that. But for that reason, we're outright banning it, something that I mentioned 8 other states do: Alabama, Arkansas, Indiana, Wisconsin, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Connecticut outright ban it. Our outright ban is a little different in that if the FDA saw a useful purpose for it, it could be prescribed for that purpose. But that's not the case right now, and we make it a misdemeanor, which you guys will have to, maybe Cam knows the details of that, for the use, for the sale. So we're putting the punishment on the sellers. That would also include people that import into the state, online sales. We would create the punishment there for the sale of that. So you can clarify anything I said there. Is there anything you want to clarify on that?
I believe it's up to a year.
Up to a year. Yeah. You want to just talk a little more about the way that what kratom does and why
Yes,
what we
the
were
natural.
Yeah.
So when you talk about kratom and the dangers of kratom, it isn't just that simple. It's also the addictiveness of kratom. So all kratom, within about a 2-week period, scientifically, they're showing that it is not if, it is when you are going to become addicted. So is it our place to sell something in a store where we manage addiction? Because what if the people that walk in the store and pick kratom up for the first time and start using it recreationally, and there's no label, there's no dosing, there's nothing in there to tell them how to use it. And what it doesn't tell you is that your body, no matter what you take and what form you take it in, is going to naturally metabolize itself as 7-hydroxymetragenine. This is a proven alkaloid that is working in your opioid receptor of your brain. So you will become addicted to kratom. Having said that, again, I go back to, is it our place to put something on a shelf that we know we're knowingly addicting people to that substance? And I think that Michigan moved today to push the pause button and actually leave it to the FDA to make that decision, which is where I feel personally it should be all along. It should be a federal ban or a federal question as to the efficacy of kratom and what it should be used for. I sympathize, again, with people who may be losing something that they feel is very helpful in their pain management. But again, pain management does not belong in a gas station. And that's my feelings.
Wow.
Well said.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Regarding the award yesterday, there was a lot of skepticism around town, not anyone I spoke with was aware of this organization. Can you address that skepticism?
Yeah, well, I've received many awards, and they're all there. And you guys should take a picture, because you don't cover any of the awards, the press. Now, they won't even admit I'm the newsmaker of the year, the Cranes newsmaker of the year. So I've won many awards. You guys know that. You never cover it. I'm very appreciative of the fact that this group of people who care a lot about accountability and transparency are notifying me that I'm receiving this award. So I'm very grateful to that. I know a lot of you in the press didn't want me to receive an award, so you're probably upset. But I wouldn't take away from the other organizations that are giving awards. And I think you should cover all the awards we get.
Jackass
I
of the
think
year.
and I'm grateful for all of them. So, any other questions? Of course it's real. I mean, just like we get contacted by organizations, they contact me, and we're grateful. I mean, you guys know I am the leader in ethics, accountability, and transparency. I mean, I authored the law, HEAT, the Hall Ethics, Accountability, and Transparency Plan. I just wish that, every week we come up here, we win awards, and I wish you guys would cover them, but you don't. I'm appreciative that this
He's on
one
his
is receiving
soapbox.
so much attention.
Yeah,
but,
what the hell?
they reached out to us, we received the award, or we got the notification. I read it to you guys up here. I stood up here and read the
Oh,
letter.
come on, bro.
And I'm looking forward to receiving it from them. I know a lot of you guys are part of the Michigan Press Association, which doesn't want me to receive an award. Maybe that's what's driving this. I don't know.
I don't think
but
you should get an award either.
that when we receive the
I guess
award,
for
we'll
the
bring
year.
it, and when we address the group, I'll be sure to share with them my appreciation for the fact that they picked me. But I understand why they picked me. I mean, HEAT, right? I mean, we're putting budget transparency in place, something that is a lot of you wrote about the need for, but won't give me the credit when I got it done. So I don't know. I wish you guys had more things to cover, like all the other awards I received, but hopefully you at least cover what the organization said, which is that I've led the way on ethics, accountability, and transparency. So anything else on Kratom?
If you
Because
did,
I've
you would
got
be
my
having this
Teletown
press
hall.
release about Kratom.
Yeah.
Nobody testified.
Well, the lobbyists for, these, you'd be surprised, these different Kratom groups have lobbyists.
Oh God, here we go.
And the lobbyists, they're registered, but it's an amazing thing. There's some people that make a lot of money off of Kratom, poisoning our kids. And one of the reasons why I think the right way to go is to ban it is because what these different Kratom groups are doing is they're saying that if you ban some of the bad Kratom, and then you create a regulatory structure to legitimize Kratom, all right? And where there's a disagreement is, I don't think we should legitimize Kratom. There is no FDA-approved benefit to Kratom. You hear these anecdotal things, but you also heard Patty talk about
Her
how,
story's anecdotal.
this
Yep.
is very addictive even when you get it in the leaf form. So as long as there is no
Addicted by
actual
apple.
benefit to Kratom, I don't see why we shouldn't ban it. And that's why we're banning it rather than legitimizing it through a regulatory structure that legitimizes it and then gives people this, this belief that the government endorses it and it's okay to take Kratom and there's benefits.
Alcohol,
That's why we
cigarettes.
want to just ban it completely and join these other states. Yeah, I agree.
She's an alcoholic, by the way. Go check out her
What'd you
Facebook
say?
posts.
Anything you guys want to say? I can answer. Yeah, I think the people opposing it are the ones that make the Kratom
Bullshit.
or the ones that sell the Kratom.
Nope.
No,
We're
no.
the ones that are
I
saved by
understand you make
Kratom
a lot of
every
money
day.
selling Kratom, but as Patty said, it's addictive whether you, no matter what kind you get, whether
Oh,
it's the
shut
synthetic,
up.
highly concentrated kind or the other kind. And I'll just point out, you remember we went through this with the bath salts, and
Ugh.
we went through this with the, what did they call that? The synthetic marijuana?
Spice.
Yeah, you remember that? So the synthetic marijuana, you ban one kind of it, and then as soon as you ban it, they create another kind of it, and they keep creating other kinds of it.
You just
And so you've got that issue on the synthetic side, and then again, when we looked at the non-synthetic side,
just
we were
contradicted
trying
yourself.
to figure out, is there any actual legitimate benefit or use for this? And we can't find any. And in fact, it's very addictive. And
We
actually,
can't find any.
I know, Patty, you know of cases where the natural leaf kratom kills people.
no.
And you've
Oh,
talked to
God.
people who've had kids lost through the natural kratom as well. So, yeah, so,
Patty,
so you know
alcohol
what I
kills
mean?
people.
So
I
again, this
suggest
is
you
one of
better
those
start
things
getting
where you
off of
come
that
up
shit
here,
now.
people pay high-powered lobbyists to make arguments that don't make sense. And I think that the
Dude, his whole
Democrats
thing ain't made sense.
made a mistake today because, again, the right thing to do is to ban the kratom,
Nope.
get this off the streets, and
Nope.
if the FDA finds a use for it, then it'll be regulated and legal for that use. But that has not happened. Yeah, go ahead, Cam.
They didn't allow nobody to testify.
To answer your question, there's a certain smoke shop in this state that has 300 locations, and
How
they
many
stand to
liquor
make
stores
millions
is in
off.
that
They make
state?
millions off the sale of kratom, and they're behind a lot of the lobbying efforts.
I do want to add one more thing too, because I think that something that struck me as staggering when I was producing the film, again, that film is looking for a streamer right now, so I am open to showing it to legislators.
I told
In
y'all.
the fall, I was starting a college tour. Because just imagine all the 18-year-olds, freshmen that are going to college and they're looking to party. They're not old enough to drink, and they're looking for a supplement. And they're going to walk into a gas station and potentially purchase kratom, not knowing how addictive it is, or hearing that it is, but thinking that maybe it isn't, you know?
Aren't they supposed to be 21?
But
Yeah.
a number that is pretty staggering is that in 2022, at the time of Wyatt's death, there was an estimated 1.8 million users. At the close of 25, when the movie completed, there were 28 million. Do we have the luxury of waiting another 3 years before we actually do something to wake up the conversation? Again, this move today is a very powerful move to create better conversation. If not in Michigan, in other states, or as well as Michigan and other states as well. We need to open up honest conversation that does involve proper labeling, informed consent.
That's
and
regulation.
awareness. Those are issues that should be in place before you put a product on the shelf. Again, is there anything else that I can answer? I'm open to this. I was completely unprepared. I had no idea
I bet
that I
she
was going to be
sweats
doing this
alcohol.
today, and I was
Yeah, she had no idea.
really
Whatever.
emotional on the floor. I just wanted to say over and over again that this was not a political issue.
Yes, it
It
was.
is not. It is a bipartisan issue. This topic should have been open to every Democrat that was voting, every Republican that was voting. My heart just stopped when I saw every Democrat vote no. I
You're
did
making
not
it political
understand
now.
that. I
Yeah.
really did not, because it is not a political issue.
So they had a vote today?
Yeah,
Protecting our kids
it
shouldn't
went
be a
straight to the
partisan
floor.
issue.
No
And, I
testimony.
think that's everything for today. So thank you, everyone, for covering this issue. I appreciate that. Thank you.
How is that legal?
How is it legal? I don't know. I don't know. Oh my God.
Like, how is that legal?
Anyway, like I said, she's an alcoholic.
Yeah.
She is a through and through
I'm sure
alcoholic.
those other two dudes are probably alcoholics too.
All you got to do is go look at her Facebook page. You know, she was begging for prayer. You know, and it's like, we need his talk screen. We need his autopsy report. She's the one who is involved with that documentary that's coming out, or that came out. It has, like she said, she's trying to get it on streaming platforms like Netflix and Hulu and all that shit. You know, she's got they spent a lot of money making that documentary. Now they got to justify the amount of money they spent making it. And she's involved with our anti-group. Man, oh me, oh my.
I just get so sick, and I get so sick and tired of people acting like we're saving kids' lives. I mean, that's what that whole thing now, dude, they always frame it to be, first of all, in Michigan, isn't there a KCPA?
No.
Okay, well, but they still should not be selling it to people that's underage. Period.
I'm pretty sure Michigan's not KCPA protected. But even if it was, that wouldn't even, you can still run a bit. How the hell did he get this to go to the floor without it going through any hearings? How did that happen? And then they come on here and talk about no Democrats voted for it. Probably because what you did is unconstitutional.
Yeah, that is straight up unconstitutional. If this went all the way through and shit without a vote, straight up unconstitutional. You're not supposed to be able to get shit like that done just from money and connections.
Running it straight to the floor. Allison told me earlier what it was called. Now, I don't remember it. But it was called something.
I should have been paying more attention. I'm just so sick and tired of this. Like, good Lord. And it's all to make money for, essentially, it's not to save anybody.
And that's
I mean,
not
these people don't
differentiate.
even know what they're talking about.
Yeah, they didn't differentiate between Kratom and fucking 7OH. I'm sick of this shit. Every single day I wake up and I fucking hate 7OH.
Yes.
Do not say the word hate a lot. But because of the goddamn mass production of that bullshit ass fucking poison, the molluscum molecule, since September of 2023, that's all we do. We
Yeah.
sit behind the scenes and we advocate every single goddamn day.
Yep. And when they say there's no such thing as good or bad, it's all bad, it's like, nah. And when you, and hearing after hearing after hearing after hearing, well, the past 2 years, poison control numbers have went up. ER visits are going up. It doesn't
No
take a
shit,
genius to
Carla.
figure it out. Doesn't take a genius to figure it out. And
I am
every single
fucking
one of them are checking themselves into rehab saying kratom. Every
Kratom,
single one's calling
kratom,
poison control,
kratom.
kratom. Every one of them. I'm just sick of it too. I mean, I'm just sick of it. Like it's ridiculous. Anybody that says that, wake up. It's time to wake up. Oh man, it's just time to wake up.
Excuse me for yelling, but I do get highly passionate.
Yeah.
And I fucking stand loud, proud, and I stand tall. I do not want shit to do with 7OH.
Oh, you can't see that.
Oh, I see it on the side, but you can't see it on the thing.
That's cool. Yeah, but I don't either. I mean, you got to choose a side. It ain't no
You have to.
kumbaya, you know. 7OH is not kratom. 7OH is literally dragging kratom down into the depths of hell.
Yeah.
That is exactly what it's doing.
You know, you got freaking, you got Idaho, you got Iowa, you got fucking Michigan that just went and did some backwoods ass shit. How? For what? Who the fuck does a PR stunt like that? People that are connected with money. And I am so sick of them saying that we all have a financial vested interest in keeping kratom legal.
They hire these lobbyists. It's like, what about us? Like, we're not paid shit. The only thing that we're paid, I know that I'm not miserable anymore, and there's people out there that rely on kratom to get out of bed every day, to go to the fucking park with their kids, to go shopping at the store, to go get gas and put in their car, like just every day walk their dogs. That's why I advocate, not for money.
We speak for the unspoken ones, the ones that can't advocate, for the ones that do have a life.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a life. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I have a life. But 99% of my time is advocating for what's saving me, and that is whole leaf kratom. 7OH can fuck off. And
But
anybody who supports 7OH can fuck off.
Yeah. Because I mean, it is the downfall. It is the death of kratom.
It is why. It is why we are in this predicament today.
It's KDA's best friend. That's all I know. Any anti-kratom people, 7OH is their best friend right now.
Yeah. And then when you do see the 7OH, I'm going to call them lobbyists too. Whenever you see them testify, they throw fucking kratom under the bus.
Yeah. Right on under the bus.
And it's like, if 7OH is really made from kratom, why the fuck would you do that?
Yep. They want so bad for kratom to be intertwined with 7OH that they're willing to throw kratom under the bus.
And they out here recruiting kratom advocates to fight their damn fight.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. No. Nope.
Sorry, you guys might have had to put your earmuffs on. All right, now we're about to watch something else that's probably going to piss us the fuck off. We're going to watch the Ohio hearing.
Oh, I'm just like, and I don't know how many times. I think I say it at least. Man, I don't even know how many times a day, but every day I know at least 5 times I say screw 70H.
Yeah.
I hate 70H.
I hate it. I hate it with the passion. And like we said in our live stream before, we don't demonize the people that take it. We demonize the substance itself. However, if you do take it, you are contributing to the downfall of Kratom. DEA needs to come out with their announcement. Come on, DEA. Bring it out.
Hurry up. I've never waited on something so hard in my life from
I'm
the
fucking sick of
government.
this shit.
Oh, God.
Got us out here flying to different states and shit, can't even testify. Where the fuck were you, 708ers? Nowhere to be found. Out there in fucking La La Land chewing on your goddamn molested molecule.
Out there on social media fucking arguing with people.
Yep. Yeah.
Reporting people. Get out of here.
I just ignore a lot of the comments nowadays. I'm like, you ain't you vampire sucker, energy vampire. You ain't getting my time.
Megan, Arizona got held. They didn't have the hearing today. I don't know when. We were just like, we waited and waited, and they finally started it, and they said they were going to hold it. So I don't know when they're going to.
We waited 2 hours.
I know.
But mainly because I got the damn time zone wrong.
That's not the first time. It's hard to keep up with the time zones, though.
It's not the first time we've done that shit either. Okay.
Bye, Laura.
Bye, Laura. Thanks for going to Idaho and kicking booty.
Yeah, you did awesome.
Hell yeah. All right. This one, you'll probably have to put it on full screen, but we'll see. Okay. Okay, Laura. I know. She said, I was proud to say I only take powder today. I am very proud that that's all I needed. And this is because, like, if y'all don't know my story, I was an active addict for 11 years straight from 2008 to 2019. I am now a recovered addict. I have recovered from my substance abuse disorder.
Yeah.
I don't chase kratom. I don't crave kratom. I don't have withdrawals when I don't take it. And
I mean, like yesterday, I woke up, didn't even take my kratom, took my kid to the doctor for a checkup, and I did not notice till I was almost home at like 3 o'clock yesterday, and I forgot to take my kratom. And it's only because my back started hurting. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even take my kratom this morning.
All right. So, yeah, you'll probably want to put this on the full screen.
All right. Let me see here.
Let me see what it looks like, though. Hold on. Let me go back to the thing.
Okay. Hold on. I want to see what this does.
Where'd it go?
Oh, that's a demo? Custom.
Yeah, let's put this on full screen. Oh, that just puts a black background on it. Okay, I like that better.
What's this? Oh, my.
Damn.
What's this padding? Okay.
Sorry, she's figuring out all the buttons on the that we can use. Yeah, we don't want it to.
Oh yeah, we don't want to do that.
Yeah.
You want me to keep it up?
No, because let's do this full screen.
Okay.
Because the antis are there. This is the opponent testimony. They don't want the KCPA in Ohio. Okay. All right, y'all ready for this? Let's say.
I don't know.
Pledge of Allegiance by Representative Miller.
Let's bow. Full of grace. Now asking for, most of all, with love. America. Good job, Joe.
Representative Creech.
Here.
Where'd the volume go?
Oh, you got to be kidding me. No more technical issues, please. Fix your mic, guy.
Is it his mic? Man. Okay, hold on. Let me stop sharing and go back. Welcome to a live stream when technical difficulties can happen at any time. Man, I don't even know what happened to his freaking volume.
With no transition plan in place and no one responsible for the animals remaining on the property, the county was forced when the whole operation was said and done.
Thanks to both you gentlemen for coming to questions.
The Ohio Association of Food. Thank you, Chair. If you can remember, I remember many.
Okay.
I would like to now call House Bill 587 for its third hearing. Due to the amount of testimony, we will be limiting testimony to 3 minutes. However, there is not a limit on questions and responses, but I ask that everyone be respectful of everyone's time. With that being said, first up today is Dan Gibbs. Mr. Gibbs, we appreciate you making an additional trip back here, and proceed when you're ready.
$1 million seed money. Just saying. They deny too.
Mr. Chairman, I do have a couple props, so just so to let you know. Chairman and members of the committee, thank you for the opportunity to testify regarding House Bill 587. My name is Dan Gibbs. I have lived in Ohio my entire life. My family and my community are here. My son Austin died on December 6, 2023. He was 25 years old. The Montgomery County Coroner's Office under Dr. Kent Harshbarger certified the cause of death as intoxication by metragenine, the primary psychoactive alkaloid in kratom. Toxicology did not identify fentanyl, heroin, prescription opioids, synthetic adulterants, or any other contributing substances. This involved a kratom product marketed as natural and sold openly at retail. I brought the 3 actual packages that my son possessed and was using at the time of his death, along with the recently packaged purchase of the same product, to show that this product continues to be presented and sold to consumers today with the same exact labeling, including the same contradictory wording. If you know, you can pass this around, I will. If not, you can see it later. Okay, I did include pictures. These are the bags he took.
I was trying to see what brand that was.
Same as actually pulling back, barely read that. Botanical specimen, not for ingestion. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All 4 labels state the contents are only for use as botanical specimen. These products are labeled as containing Mitragina speciosa leaf and are presented in a way that signals to ordinary consumers they are intended to be swallowed. At the same time, the labeling describes the product as plant material associated with research, education, or display rather than a consumable product, and warns that ingestion may be harmful while placing responsibility for adverse effects on the individual who uses it. Some packages include serving guidance despite the warning language. The newer package also prominently displays an American Kratom Association GMP qualified logo on the front, conveying an appearance of quality assurance. The result is a troubling contradiction. A psychoactive substance presented in a way that normalizes ingestion in retail settings, while the labeling describes it as a botanical specimen or plant material rather than a consumable product. House Bill 587 focuses on limiting certain kratom compounds, yet it would still allow retail sales of products containing metragynine, the substance that took my son's life. Limiting concentrations of compounds such as 7-OH does not resolve the broader public health question of whether opioid active substances should remain widely available in retail settings while the state's formal scientific and regulatory review process addressing these substances is still underway. Many individuals who support kratom describe using it daily for chronic pain or as a replacement for prescription opioids or illicit opioids. Statements like these illustrate that kratom's active compounds can produce significant pharmacological effects powerful enough that users rely on them in ways similar to other opioid-acting substances. This underscores why compounds acting on the opioid receptor warrant careful scientific evaluation. The FDA has raised concerns about kratom's safety profile, including risk of dependence, withdrawal, addiction potential, and other adverse effects. Research into kratom's pharmacologic impact is still ongoing, including an ascending dose clinical study evaluating safety that is not expected to conclude until 2027. The agency has not determined that kratom is safe. National poison control surveillance continues to document kratom-related exposure. Reports from the first 7 months of 2025 have already exceeded the total number of recorded during all of 2024, indicating that this public health trend is increasing rather than declining. My son is not a statistic. Austin was a wonderful young man with a bright future who encountered a legal retail product containing an opioid active compound. While industry lobbyists often focus on protecting a marketplace, families like mine are left living with the consequences. When substances like this become normalized before the risks are fully understood, those consequences cannot be reversed. The Ohio Board of Pharmacy has completed scientific review of kratom's active compounds and has advanced rulemaking that is now moving through the state's administrative process. I respectfully urge you to allow that science-based process to be completed before establishing policy that will shape public health in Ohio. For these reasons, I respectfully oppose House Bill 587.
We thank you for your testimony today. Are there questions from the committee? Representative Newman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and with your permission to the witness, thank you, sir, for being here today. And before I ask a question, I just want to tell you how terribly sorry we are to hear about what has happened to your son. I think probably all of us are likely parents here on the committee. I don't know that, but we are very sorry to hear that, and pray and wish for the best for your family. Thank you for taking action in light of what has happened to your son to come and testify to us and tell us your story. And it's very valuable. We want to hear it. And there's probably more that we will need to hear beyond today. But I appreciate the detail you put in your testimony, especially the pieces you brought in today. I've been told in other settings, maybe in testimony as well, that that it's maybe not possible, or there are no accounts of anyone dying as a result of overdose on kratom. And I know you're not a lawyer, you're not law enforcement, you don't have all the data, but just if you would give us again your response to that statement that it's not possible to overdose and die from the use of kratom.
Mr. Chairman, Representative, again, the coroner's office in Montgomery County, who I know does over 50% of the autopsy reports in Ohio, my son's death was solely from metragynine toxicity, no 7-OH, no other adulterants. His manner of passing was respiratory depression, which the industry also likes to state that cannot happen. It 100% happened. It's in the autopsy report. Respiratory depression leading to him ceasing to breathe due to the opioid receptors that the metragynine hit in his head, causing respiratory depression, and he passed away. I found him face down in his bedroom floor. And I have multiple other accounts of people who have shown autopsy, had shown toxicology reports. They are 100% there. They are not poly. They're, a lot of them are poly, but there are those that are not. And even if they are, some of those are poly, we don't have the science of how it can be poly and say caffeine, metragynine, nicotine, metragynine, and they put those in the same category and call those polysubstance. you know, we do not have the science to see how prescription medications work on metragedy. That's why we need to allow the Board of Pharmacy's process to conclude and not put this under a regulatory framework under the Department of Agriculture.
Further questions? Representative Miller?
Again, I echo my colleagues' remorse over the loss of your son. A lot of people are going to argue that people die from alcohol and other intoxicating drugs, and we don't make them illegal. We just try to put really good, sound guardrails on them. Is there any chance that we could get to that point where we can, in your mind, we can find a solution to informing Ohioans, educating Ohioans, and then putting the guardrails in place so that only adults get their hands on kratom or hybrid synthetic kratom?
Mr. Chairman, Representative, my concern is that this will be put into a regulatory framework before the Board of Pharmacy has concluded their scientifically based evaluation. If they come back and state that kratom is safe, then absolutely. But you saw these packages. How can you relabel these packages to say, well, we told you they're not for consumption, but if you do decide to consume them, you could have adverse reactions, and if you do, even though we told you not to, if you do, here's the dosing instructions. I mean, how do we guardrail that? Even, you know, we've had hundreds of years to research caffeine, alcohol. We have those regulations in place for those substances. We do not have those scientific. We don't have it. It's still incoming. We don't have those scientific, you know, measures in those studies. I know, you know, once again, the industry. Of course, I was here 2 weeks ago. It's just not. It's not true. It's not true. At any time that, and I believe Representative Sims, you questioned one of the AKA representatives about the FDA, and once that happened, they stated, it's wrong, it's not correct, and then you said, well, it just updated in, you know, July, September of 25, how is it not correct? So once questioned, you know, then their arguments fall flat on their face because they're just not correct. And what I'm telling you here today is from a grieving father's point of view. I don't have anything in this other than the fact that I want to go out and let the public know that this is not safe. There are no guardrails that are going to stop the substance from acting on mu opioid receptors in your brain. It causes addiction, dependence, and we can't fix that. And these are, you know, more and more every day you see these evolving, coming out in different forms. We need to get rid of this stuff. We need to get rid of this stuff.
Representative Sims.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you so much for your testimony. I want to say I'm not as influently about Creighton. I didn't quite make probably was not me who made the inquiry. I appreciate the inquiry. I'm learning a lot, and I appreciate it, but more importantly, I just wanted to say I'm so sorry for the loss of your son.
Mr. Chairman, Representative, thank you. And I applaud you once again for fact checking because we don't see that. So,
any follow-up?
I just wanted to make it I didn't ask the inquiry. Some smart person who knows more than I do probably did. I am certainly in the process of learning more about this, and I appreciate your passionate testimony and all of the folks who are coming for us to share their insights. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Representative?
again, sorry about what's happened to your son. This is not acceptable. Do you know what these products that you've passed around, are they natural leaf or are they synthetic?
They are natural leaf kratom. That says
Okay.
it right on the packages, and that's one of the largest. It's one of the largest manufacturers in the state of Ohio.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
It has the ingredients on all four of the bags. It says Mitragina speciosa, which is the actual leaf powder. There's no adulterants. There is no synthetics. There's no 7-OH in any of those. Like I said, that's one of the largest brands in Ohio and in the United States. It's Earth Kratom.
And you said it was manufactured here in Ohio?
It was not manufactured here,
Okay.
but it is everywhere in Ohio.
Okay.
You can purchase that at smoke shops and also all throughout the country.
Yeah. Thank you.
Representative Creech.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here today. Yeah, so sorry for your loss. Kratom is something that has just popped up, I think, for many of us over the last year or so, and has become a lot of conversation. I guess this just popped in my head, with Rep. Miller's question talking about alcohol. Some people, I think, get addicted more than others. Some may have reactions. I don't know how this stuff works. But is it safe to say that maybe kratom could be safe for some and not others? Could it be a reaction? Could it be chemistry? Do you know anything? I mean, and maybe you're the wrong person to ask, but this just popped in my head. Could it be that certain people have certain reactions, or is it just truly something that an overdose can occur?
It's and I've had 2.5 years to research. Once again, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a chemist, but I researched this for 2.5 years. We've all heard the stories about users, stating that they have, chronic pain. And to me, that should be the major red flag to every representative in here. If you're telling us, if you're sitting for 4 hours to testify, to tell us that you couldn't work before, but now you can get out of bed and go to work, and you take 2 or 3 scoops of natural leaf kratom every day? Really? So I feel like that's such a major red flag to show just how much, and that's the pure leaf kratom, how much that does, impact the mu opioid receptor in your brain, just like a true opioid does. To answer your question, Representative, I feel like that we have to allow the Board of Pharmacy's process to conclude. Yesterday, 2 days ago, Iowa had a full controlled substance. There was lots of amendments. They killed the amendments. Now it's back to a full. Idaho went in with a full with a regulation due to the compelling testimony of the police chiefs and multiple experts. That bill is tabled. They have a full ban bill in Idaho. So that just, that's basically who gets to you first. Who do you listen to? Who do you believe? And that's the bottom line, because we all know, I was here 2 weeks ago, and they were all sitting right behind me. And they brought people with them to testify, and I heard them talking about it. So, I'm here to help public, to help, the public impact on unsafe substances, and they're here to make sure that businesses, stay in business and they continue to line their pockets, and that's the bottom line. But to answer your question, Representative, I can't say that at some point, once all of the scientific studies are concluded, that, if it's a controlled substance, that's where it should be. It should be a controlled substance is what we're heading towards. Let it go there. Let it go to be a controlled substance, and let the Board of Pharmacy, that's their job, that's what they do. They conclude whether or not these substances are harmful, and it should not be placed under a regulatory framework out in, no matter what they put on these labels. You've seen the brand new label. That I just bought that big package with the third party testing, and the AKA GMP, it says the same exact verbiage on the back. You know, botanical specimen, not for human consumption. But if you do, you know, you may have adverse effects, and we're not responsible for that, even though we told you not to eat it, and you did anyway.
Okay.
No.
We appreciate your testimony, Representative Cockley.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for your testimony today. I want to join my colleagues and say I'm really sorry for your loss. My question is, I recently have been working with Amy Chapman on a bill whose brother went missing from the west side of Columbus where I live, and she describes it as a large club that you don't want to be part of. And so my question for you is if you find yourself in a similar situation surrounded by other parents who have lost their children to kratom, or is this something that it's kind of new and you're experiencing on your own?
Since, Mr. Chairman, Representative, since this happened, I did find a group called Kratom Danger Awareness. It was founded by Wendy Chamberlain. We have 3,000 members. There's a large group that have had the exact same issues as mine. Some of those have been only mitragynine, some of those have been poly. But even in the poly ones, you know, if they're prescription meds, so their kid took their prescription meds and took kratom, and the autopsy still says that it was mitragynine was the sole cause, not the prescription meds. So, and once again, they'll call those poly, but yes, the person sitting beside me right now has lost a child. She'll be testifying, but we have people from all over the country, and all of them have lost kids, and we go out and the bill in Iowa, some of these bills, we tell them our stories. Sometimes we find somebody who will listen, and we can beat that bill back, and when we do, that's what I want. You know, if I can get some kind of gratification that I helped, you know, I helped tell the truth, and it saved people's lives. And I've been told that so many times the last 2 years, you know, thank you. I've did podcasts and different things, you know, thank you so much for, you know, you've saved people's lives from this. Because, it's, you know, I speak the truth. You know, this is not opinionated, this is factual data. And you have the bags there, you can see what they say and what they have in them. I included the poison control documents on my written testimony, so you can see all of that. But yes, we do. And we're gathering more and more and more people that are coming into our group saying, my child passed away too. It's becoming more and more and more and more prominent. So, you know, you don't want to be in that group. And it's, you know, and there's some, you know, some of the advocates will state stuff like, you know, you're doing this for money. You give me $1 billion or my son back, you can have your $1 billion. Because you know, I don't care how much money you gave me. It's you know, I don't care if it's $50 billion. I'll say, here's that money, give me my son back. So, you know, it has absolutely nothing to do with.
Did he just admit that they received that $1 million seed money?
We thank you for coming back and appreciate your testimony.
Thank you.
Up next to provide interested party testimony is Dr. Kristen Smith. Welcome, doctor. Proceed when you're ready.
Okay. Honorable Chair Klumfenstein, Vice Chair Newman, Ranking Member Miller, and members of the House Agriculture Committee, thank you for the opportunities to speak today. My name is Dr. Kirsten Smith, and I'm providing testimony as an interested party, although I am in opposition to aspects of House Bill 587, which would effectively prohibit 7-hydroxymitragynine or 7-OH products. 7-OH is not the problem. I have studied kratom and opioids since 2017 with my work beginning at the National Institute on Drug Abuse during my postdoc Physical dependence and addiction related to kratom comprise much of my work, which includes over 90 peer-reviewed publications. My research continued at Johns Hopkins University, where I had 2 clinical trials on kratom and pilot projects examining 7-OH use. I regularly advise clinical groups, boards of pharmacy, and speak about 7-OH at academic conferences. I was actually one of the first scientists to raise concerns about 7-OH, and I'm among the few researchers and licensed clinicians to have collected data on it. In 2021, not yet having collected data or having fully reviewed the preclinical literature, I assumed 7-OH would be a public health concern, and that ultimately has not been validated. This initial panic was similar to a decade ago, or even still present day. When kratom extracts began proliferating, I and other scientists voiced concerns. Our fears have, in that time, largely not been realized. The FDA has unfortunately been not well supported by data. We do have data coming out from FDA this year I'm happy to talk about, but ultimately their talking points on both kratom and now 7-OH have not been based in data, and this really confuses policy conversations. I speak with providers regularly and can attest to the fact that kratom and 7-OH are not, they are rare among the caseloads. Of the approximately 15 7-OH cases, in, I guess, 3 years, 2 of which I'm a co-author on, there have not been indicators of respiratory depression or any typical opioidergic activity. 14 of these cases had some substance use disorder for 7-OH involved. These were ambiguous, and again, I can talk about those, but withdrawal symptoms were mild. One time point was moderate. The consumers that I've studied, they essentially describe a desire for regulation, both for kratom and for 7-OH. This includes things like keeping it legal, but with restrictions on venues to 21 up, product testing, wholesome brand names, labels that are not inaccurate and that are clear and would distinguish between kratom and 7-OH, restrictions on formulations that are not oral, serving size caps, and prohibition of sales near schools. You know, this is not legal morphine. The activity of both kratom and 7-hydroxymitragynine is highly atypical and oftentimes has nothing to do with the opioid activity. These, you know, there's a lot of misleading claims, and it is really a disingenuous premise to say that, you know, all molecules are equal and that 7-OH and mitragynine are somehow equally risky. The preponderance of data just do not show clear public health harms. And again, there are many reasons why people consume these products. I really urge you to consider legislation that would keep both kratom and 7-hydroxymitragynine regulated but not prohibited for the Ohio adults that would choose to consume these products. I have a lot more I could say. Obviously, I will shut up now and respectfully thank you for your time.
Thank you for your testimonies. Vice Chair Newman.
Thank you to the chair, and thank you, Dr. Smith, for being here to testify today. It was very helpful. I want to ask you a similar question as the prior witness. Based on your, and thank you for your research and getting on top of this early before most of us ever knew it existed. In your experience, in your research, to your understanding, is it possible for a person to die of an overdose of 7-OH? And part 2, is it possible with 7-OH? Is it possible with natural kratom?
Yeah, so if you'll bear with me a minute. We don't typically do toxicology studies in humans because that would be unethical to try to induce an overdose, right? So what we have to do is take what we can do based on actual clinical studies in which we're looking at like pharmacokinetics, things like that, and then a lot of preclinical work where we're talking about non-human animals. So we can do a lot of things to animals we can't do to humans. And we do see that, like literally any substance, there are going to be no observable effect levels or toxic levels that are dose dependent. Like if you take enough water into your system, you will die. And I don't mean that to be cute. I mean, seriously, like there is a toxic level for both mitragynine and 7-hydroxymitragynine. In humans, though, because we don't do trials that would induce toxicity or respiratory depression, and actually I should note too that when we have induced respiratory depression in animals, it has been through an IV route of administration. That is not what happens in humans. We take I don't take, but people take kratom and 7-OH orally, and the oral bioavailability and the systemic exposure is dramatically different than an IV route of administration, which is why this is complicated, because our body of science from animals does not necessarily translate to humans, both with respect to toxicology and behavioral pharmacology related to abuse potential. So in humans, the signals that we have to go on are from epidemiological or poison control center data, things like that, or adverse event reporting systems, or forensic toxicology. The fact is that, and again, I have literally no life. I've been in this space since 2015. The forensic tox case reports and data that are out there, and even lawsuits and stuff like that, it is extremely rare. And we have some associations of accounts with respiratory depression described, and I'm talking like 3 cases in a decade, right? And it's not demonstrated, there's not a mechanism. The very frustrating thing here is that, as was noted, there's a lot of polysubstance use, and more than that, even when there's not co-ingestants, there are invariably some underlying health condition, whether it was like a heart or a seizure disorder that was not previously known. So the mechanism for respiratory depression does not appear to be present for mitragynine or 7-hydroxymitragynine or other alkaloids. And this is kind of difficult because, yes, there's mu-opioid receptor activity that is highly complex and a lot of other activity that's not acting on opioid systems whatsoever, but the beta-arrestin second messenger pathway, which is this part that is recruited when a full opioid, like traditional, like Oxycontin or something like that, if you take that, it's going to activate the analgesic and anti-nociception, but also potential respiratory depression, GI upset, things like that. We have not seen that in humans. And so ultimately, there is not, and I believe my colleague Dr. Boyer was here a couple of weeks ago and was much more eloquent than me, we don't have a toxidrome for kratom, right? Like we don't have a known constellation of symptoms. And, you know, again, we have some safety data, but we typically don't do studies that would like try to kill people. So I hope that helps.
So I guess my question is, does the natural or synthetic product have a place in our society? And if so, should it be as a regulated and oversight as a drug?
So I wish that I could stand here and tell you that this is all good or all bad or all black or all white. My life and everyone's life here would be much easier. It's just, it is complex. It's like a legitimately complex pharmacology. I do believe, and I do not say this lightly, you know, I think that there is a risk-benefit profile to both kratom leaf, the natural kratom, and then also for the semi-synthetic derivatives of kratom, the 7-OH products. Ultimately, I think they have a place not as a controlled substance, but as a highly regulated and highly restricted set of products that have a lot of guardrails. I do think my study of people who consume kratom and 7-OH has led me to this forced, pragmatic, kind of realistic worldview, which is not a political one, but it's, I think, a public health one, insofar as a lot of these folks, we might say, well, let's just get rid of kratom and 7-OH, and they're going to go to their doctor and get pain relief, which, by the way, is mediated via the serotonin system as well as the opioid system with kratom. So this is not just a mu-opioid receptor thing. That if we take this away, they're just going to go to their doctor and they're going to get on a prescription opioid, or, you know, prescription medicine, or they'll go to drug treatment or something. A lot of these folks have been kind of cut off from different systems of care. Some of them don't want to go back, even if they could get access. And I don't know what is accounting for that. You know, some people don't want an FDA-approved medication. Some people have been in the illicit drug market and they don't want to go back. And they are perfectly happy to exist in this sort of middle expanse, which is, I am convinced, not going away. Whether it's a dietary supplement or a research chemical from Russia or China, the folks are like, well, if 7-OH and kratom get banned, I'm just going to go get this thing from, you know, that I heard about on Reddit. And it's going to be this thing over and over and over and over and over again. And as far as I'm concerned, the toothpaste has been out of the tube on kratom and now 7-OH for 20 and 3 years respectively. I mean, 20 years it's been around. And most people, when I say I study kratom, they're like, what is that? And if it's not a household word, I'm not saying that there aren't edge cases or that there aren't risks to safeguard against, But if this is not something most people know what it is, this is not the fourth wave of the opioid epidemic, right? So I think there's a middle ground, but I'm not a lawmaker.
So let me ask this another way. If you were the queen regulator for the day, what's the answer to how do we move forward and prevent deaths and have the product available to those that see a healthy, if we can say healthy benefit? How would you continue forward with this product?
So I don't know that I have a perfect answer for this. I do think it shouldn't be sold in gas stations or convenience stores, for one. I think there are places in which, so for instance, the Czech Republic, bear with me here, the Czech Republic introduced legislation called like the Novel Psychomodular Substances Act, something like that. And it's essentially for substances that aren't, you know, sugar pills, right? Like they have some pharmacological activity, but they are not rising this level where you're seeing these public health alarm bells go off, and they need to be regulated. And so they have this sort of risk paradigm, and they use kratom and some sort of cannabis product that I don't know too much about as a starting point for, okay, there needs to be like a brick and mortar actual physical address. So if you're going to be selling this stuff on the internet, you still have a physical location, or kind of like 21 and up. Like if you're going to come into the store and to buy this, you can't be 16 years old or something like that. I think that's a good starting point. I think the rest is, you know, I mean, believe it or not, a lot of the kratom products are actually very consistent in terms of chemical composition, and same with 7-OH. So I'm not sure that that's the problem, but I do think that there should be testing and like say audits, or you know, random like go out, whatever it's whether it's the Board of Health or Agriculture or whoever. And again, I'm not a politician, does like random audits and samples from the marketplace and does the testing. I mean, you can't test everything, but you can do a random testing to ensure that the chemical constituents in the product match what the label says. And there should be tighter restrictions on the labels. I mean, what the gentleman before me described, I don't think is very acceptable to be on a label, right? So I think that is part of it as well.
Representative Peterson.
Thank you for your testimony. And this may be outside your wheelhouse. You're a researcher and a doctor. A lot of what you described needs to be done is in this bill. So my question is, does this bill do what you would suggest it should do, and what things are missing or what things are inaccurate within this bill, to your knowledge, recognizing that's not your area of expertise?
Yeah, and I don't know if I've seen the latest version of the bill, so just broadly speaking, you know, I think I'm here more because, you know, having studied kratom, and then I'm really one of the only people who has collected data on 7-OH. And my colleagues at Hopkins and NIDA, we have papers under review right now on this. I have come to the realization that a lot of the people who, not everyone, but a lot of people who consume kratom have switched to 7-OH. So we kind of have this population of both of these folks. And what that bill, this current bill does is essentially keeps kratom legal and then makes 7-OH products illegal. I don't think that is scientifically supported, and I think it's disingenuous and not, that's an industry thing, and I don't, you know, I think both should be legal. So that's my main contention.
Follow-up? Representative Sims.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know who came before you, but I want to tell you, I thought your testimony today was very thoughtful, very educational, and I appreciate it greatly. You know, the question before us, I think we've heard in the past and even today, is the regulatory framework versus controlled substance. With all of your research, and it's beautifully done, do you or do you not feel as if the pharmaceuticals review would be helpful to include as we really think through this, or do you think that through your work we've collected enough data to say that we have enough to move forward to make the decision? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And sorry if I'm not doing the proper chain of command thank yous, but thank you to you all. So as a scientist, I think we always need more data, right? So I think no matter what happens, we need to collect more data forever, right? But I do think that, you know, we have 20 years of data from the United States, never mind Southeast Asia data. But so I believe, again, in a perfect world, everything would just be research, implementation in terms of market, going into the market, and then surveillance monitoring of the market. But that doesn't happen, right? And in America, this really has been a bottom-up phenomenon. This was not big kratom. Like, I understand there's now a big industry, but early on, this was people Googling like green powder from Asia, and there were no labels. It was very much the consumers brought it here because they were kind of desperate. So that cart before the horse thing makes this situation not ideal. I do believe that we have sufficient data. For instance, the FDA single ascending dose study, safety tolerability study that was mentioned, that is going to be coming out. The first papers are going to be coming out this year. I believe that has really been a huge leap forward in terms of establishing acute safety. Beyond that, it's the abuse liability factor, which is a lot of how scheduling decisions come about, addiction potential, things like that. This goes back to the fact that any rewarding substance has some potential for, or some abuse liability, right? Or gambling, or smartphones, or social media, or any of that stuff. So do we want to get rid of all of that? Probably not, but we do need to recognize it as a risk for some. Now, is it the case that this is, comparable in risk to like heroin or, methamphetamine? No. And as such, I think ideally what we would do is move forward with what we have. And, the fact that the FDA did recommend that kratom get scheduled in like 2014, 2015, and the DEA has not run with that, right, for a lot of reasons. And then more recently in July, the FDA recommended scheduling 7-OH, and the DEA has still not moved forward with that for a lot of other reasons too, and we can get into those. But if something is persisting in the market for this long, and the federal government has not taken some decisive action based on substantive data, I think that we need to just contain the situation and improve it, because the situation's here, and if it gets just criminalized, and I'm not some wacky I'm a moderate person, so I'm not saying this in a political way, but the folks that I've studied, if kratom and 7-OH get prohibited, they are going to go use something else. And I'd rather just keep what we have as safe as possible.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Representative?
Why does it take so long to say something should be taken off the shelf and put in under the control, a controlled substance, or given to a doctor to prescribe? I don't quite understand that. I don't think any parent who's lost a child is going to understand that. My mother lost 2 sons at one time in 1977. She's never been the same. You're never the same. And so we can discuss this today, but not really feeling what the parents are feeling.
No, ma'am.
So how do we get from, it just takes so long. You've said 20 years, you've said this on other things. Why does the system take so long when it's evident there's problems?
So I think I would politely and respectfully push back on saying it's evident there's so many problems. The fact is that the cases on kratom-related toxicities are rare. If they were the majority, like I said before, this would be a household word. Everyone knows what fentanyl is. Most people don't know what this is. And I don't say that lightly. Like, this is just not common. And if it were common, I do believe it wouldn't have taken 20 years. I don't think we'd even be sitting here today having this conversation.
So there can be quicker movement on things.
Have you met the federal government? No. I'm
yeah, I get that.
I was at NIH for 4 years, and let me tell you, some things are just, they do get political, in my opinion. They do get things wrong, and a lot of people don't want to own up to it. And I think that this is a very irritating and confusing thing, because people hear opioid and they freak out, understandably so, because of look what our country's gone through. And it's a dirty word, and that's why a lot of conversations just get shut down. If we were talking about serotonin only or alpha-adrenergic activity only, or even cannabis, which, you know, at least people kind of hear but don't freak out as much about. I mean, it's just complicated, and I think because it's complicated, people just want an easy thing. And then you have cases in which there are adverse events that occur, and it is horrible, and you have to respond to that as well. And so I wish I could give you insight into the federal government, but I cannot, and I'm sorry for that.
We appreciate your testimony today, and thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Next up to provide opponent testimony is John Cleveland. Welcome to committee, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. I'm going to be your least compelling witness so far. Chair Klopfenstein and members of the committee, my name is John Cleveland, testifying on behalf of Holistic Alternative Recovery Trust, or HART. HART is a nonprofit 501c4 dedicated to ensuring continued responsible access to kratom products. We appreciate the opportunity to express our opposition to HB587, which as written constitutes a categorical ban on the sale of the natural kratom alkaloid 7-hydroxymetragenine, or 7-OH. HART supports sensible regulation for all natural therapeutics derived from Mitragyna speciosa, or kratom. This work must necessarily disregard political exigencies. It should endeavor to balance the ideals of protecting children and the public, while also preserving access for the hundreds of thousands of Ohioans who rely on kratom and its alkaloids to manage pain and overcome addiction. The broader framework of HB 587, including provisions addressing age restrictions, labeling transparency, and responsible retail practices, represents a constructive step towards regulating kratom in Ohio. We suggest you go even further, as HART supports immediate steps to remove all kratom products from gas stations and limiting them to 21 and up locations. What we do not support is establishing a protectionist carve-out for a particular sector of the kratom industry, which is effectively what this bill does. 7-OH, it's not a synthetic lab-created chemical. It's a naturally occurring alkaloid. It's also what your body converts kratom into. So roughly 24% of metragenine in kratom is converted by your liver into 7-OH after ingestion. So a 35 milligram metragenine gummy, which would be legal under this framework, would convert into about 8 milligrams of 7-OH in your body. Proponents of this bill have likely told you that 7-OH was bad and called for a ban, but if they really thought that, they wouldn't be selling kratom. Here are the facts. More than 1 million people, likely far more now, have consumed nearly 2 billion servings of 7-OH, yet there are 0 documented deaths attributed to 7-OH alone. According to the FDA's own database, the Federal Adverse Event Reporting System, there are less than 100 adverse events, I think about 88 today, associated with 7-OH. Many as minor as nausea and dizziness. That's fewer than soap, by the way, and far fewer by an order of magnitude than other kratom products, even over the same time frame. But bans, of course, do cause harm. They have pushed many consumers back towards substances that are responsible for tens of thousands of deaths each year. In the week following the emergency ban in Florida, overdose spikes tripled in the central part of the state. That was a very tragic but predictable result that is likely to be repeated again and again if states continue policies of banning comparatively innocuous substances like 7-OH. 7-OH has been subjected in recent months to a pretty vast and pervasive propaganda effort. It's honestly impressive, with critics decrying it as the next opioid epidemic. Time that has proved that it is not. The FDA held a hearing all the way back in July, and since that time, they said those very words, the fourth wave of the opioid epidemic, no one has died since then. So this all begs the question, why are we hearing so much about this alkaloid? The war on 7-OH emanates from a discrete segment of the kratom industry, namely leaf producers upset about losing market share. This bill, with its arbitrary 2% cap designed to protect kratom leaf producers, even though their products contain and are metabolized into 7-OH, it proves that. So let me say, as someone who's not trying to weaponize government against market opponents, prohibition of any kratom product is not the right course of action. We ask that you remove the 2% cap on 7-OH concentrations in favor of a higher milligram-based limitation and strengthen the bill by removing all kratom products from gas stations. That's the best way to protect consumers. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there questions from the committee? So I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the last presenter. If you were the king of bureaucracy for a day, How would you correct this issue?
I agree that the cat is out of the bag. I think we've seen from real-world experiences that people will turn to other options, other alternatives, many of them street drugs, if these products are taken off the shelves. It'll drive the market underground, where there is no regulation. We don't know what's in these products when they're totally unregulated. So I agree they should be regulated. And I really do think it makes sense to remove these products from these high-traffic areas like gas stations. There shouldn't be any psychoactive substances in gas stations, frankly. But I do think that picking and winning and choosing alkaloids within the same plant doesn't really make sense, especially since metragynine, which would remain legal, turns into 7-OH in the body. So regulation, not prohibition, I think is the answer. And so this bill almost has it right in my view.
Any other questions? We appreciate your testimony. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Up next is Tom Beckham to provide opponent testimony. Welcome to committee. Proceed when you're ready.
Thank you. Chairman, Vice Chair, Ranking Member, and members of the committee. My name is Tom Beckham, and I serve on the board of 7 Hope Alliance, a nonprofit dedicated to public education, advocacy, and science on 7-0. And I'm involved in both the Kratom and 7-0 industry. The 7 Hope Alliance opposes HB587 unless amended. We're not here to block regulation, we support it, but as written, this bill goes far beyond its stated purpose in ways that will harm the very Ohioans it seeks to protect. Millions of Americans have built stable, functional lives around 7-OH, and they deserve a policy response grounded in evidence rather than fear. 74% of 7-OH consumers reported using it for chronic pain, often cited as a safer alternative to prescription opioids. The average consumer is a 41-year-old male, a parent, a veteran, or a healthcare worker trying to manage pain and take care of their family. People who are battling chronic pain, debilitating disease, and addiction. People who say, 7-OH gave me my life back. When government removes a wellness tool that people rely on, the consequences are not abstract, they're real. I want to draw this committee's attention to the testimony of Dr. Ed Boyer, who sat in this room on March 4th. He's a tenured professor at Ohio State, and he is as credentialed as any witness this committee will hear. Dr. Boyer told this committee directly that 7-OH is not synthetic. It forms naturally when metragynine in kratom leaves is exposed to air and is produced by metabolizing enzymes in the liver. Every person who consumes kratom will have 7-OH in their body within the hour. You cannot separate the two. On safety, he was equally clear, and I quote, "There are no deaths that can be unambiguously attributed to 7-OH," end quote. And that is across an estimated 1.4 billion servings sold in the United States. On addiction, he told this committee, quote, "There's nothing particularly exceptional about the addictive capacity of kratom or 7-OH," end quote. Some kratom industry stakeholders have tried to alarm this committee by claiming that 7-OH is not kratom, that it is dangerous and synthetic. Given Dr. Boyer's testimony and the testimony of Dr. Kirsten Smith here today, it's clear that these claims are not grounded in science or facts, but they're a rhetorical device offered by the same parties who openly told this committee that 7-0 had hurt their kratom sales at the proponent committee. That is a market protection argument, not a public health one. The overdose data tells its own story. According to the CDC, Ohio overdoses fell 27.88% from October of 2024 to October of 2025, while 7-0 remained available in the regulated market. Prohibition is not a public health strategy. When you remove a lower risk product from a community that still has pain and still has demand, the demand doesn't disappear. It relocates to untested, unregulated, or illicit alternatives where the real dangers live. We support smart regulation. Dr. Boyer proposed a framework for 7-OH from this very podium. Oral-only formulations, blister pack packaging, age-gating points of sale, school proximity restrictions, and taxation based on active ingredient content. Over 35,000 Americans have documented how 7-OH has provided relief where other treatments have failed, and they're not asking for a free pass. They're asking for the dignity of a regulated and accessible product. What we can't support are potency caps so low that they function as prohibition, pushing consumers away from compliant, tested products and towards the unregulated or illicit markets. I urge you to amend this bill sensibly to regulate 7-OH rather than issuing a de facto ban. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Thanks for being here. Are there questions from the committee? I guess just a Question, 1.4 billion
Serving sold.
doses?
Yes, sir.
Who's taking this stuff? I mean, I would guess most of us on this committee never heard of this a year ago. Who's taking, where's all this stuff going?
So a wide variety of people. Consumers range from people who have moved, well, 70 from our own surveys that we've, or from surveys that Seven Hope has enlisted through actually political survey groups. We saw that 74% of patients were chronic pain, or of consumers were chronic pain patients, and another 20% or so were people who moved, and there's a blend in there, who moved from street opiates or illicit markets over to this product because it doesn't carry the same risk of respiratory depression and death that street opiates do.
Thank you. Representative Newman.
Thank you to the chair, and thank you to the witness for being here today for your testimony. So I've been in conversation with folks outside of the Capitol about this, and it sounds like there may be some people who have conditions that they read online, or some naturopath tells them, you know, your chronic condition, your chronic disease, other than pain, pain may be associated with it, but there's a chronic disease or chronic condition that's not helped. Crohn's was the particular gentleman I was talking to. Are you aware of organizations, physicians, literature out there that are advising people the traditional help that or solutions don't help you, but kratom is a possible solution for you? Are you aware of such?
So of MDs, no, specifically because the liability policy related to their insurance wouldn't allow them to. You know, I think if a doctor is recommending something to a patient, then they are now essentially taking on the liability for that, and they have a limited scope and window of what they can recommend, to my understanding. However, naturopaths or, you know, other groups, I know there are some addiction groups out there as well who have referred consumers to the kratom product and have recommended it, although I believe that most of these recommendations are unofficial. In my mind, the issue lies with the fact, as Dr. Kirsten Smith said, that the FDA, since over the last 20 years, you know, there was a potential scheduling attempt of kratom as a whole in 2016 that they decided not to move forward with. But to date, still, the federal government has not come out and said, here is the pathway for kratom to exist, and here's the pathway for 7.0 to exist in a regulated and safe way. It's been 20 years of silence, essentially. And so, as such, the industry is, you know, acted on its own, and, you know, essentially I'm here asking for regulation that would limit and mitigate all the potential downside factors: access to children, mislabeling of products, lack of clear instructions, lack of warnings, lack of an instruction saying don't mix this with a prescription drug without consulting a physician, but also to enable a regulated, safe adult use market where responsible adults, you know, our average consumer from this survey was a 41-year-old working man with, I think it was 1.4 kids was the survey average, and to access this product because it did give them their life back.
Thank you. Representative Miller.
Thank you, Chair. And your last three sentences were pretty much summarized what I was going to ask and was hoping for an answer on, and that was, can we not make the decision to ban something that has actually been shown to help? Can we put this in a proper packaging, in a proper location with proper consultations and testing and screening? Can we do that? It's been done with other drugs. Can we do this with kratom, 7-OH, and the forms from there? Can we do this with this product so that people who need this or who want this or that it works for them can have access, while we can keep it out of the hands of minors and make sure people are educated enough to know that there could be adverse effects?
Absolutely, and it's been done before with other product categories, and it can absolutely be done again with this product. I mean, you know, looking at kratom, or looking at 7-OH specifically, I think Tylenol has something around 500 deaths a year from abuse and misuse. You know, it's about as well regulated and labeled as a product can get. So there will always be edge cases, and you know, every piece of my heart and every compassion goes out towards those, but there is a way to structure this that absolutely minimizes any downside potential to it and maximizes the potential benefits to our public society as a whole, and general public health.
May I follow up? Thank you, Chair. So with that being said, can we do this in such a way, do you believe we can do this in such a way where we don't pick winners and losers of who can provide this product to Ohioans? And then I'm going to back that with kind of a side question, as I'm hearing there's a lot of data on veteran use of this product and successful veteran use. Is there anything that you have to offer on that area as well?
I can get you the information on veteran use. It's part of our survey, and then also we have worked with, I believe it's the Grunt Style Foundation, who, I'll double check that, but they have, engaged on a level where they've found that their veteran community has, with PTSD or any chronic pain issue, has seen massive benefits out of this product, out of 7OH. And they have, I believe, just a full document and piece of literature that we can get your way.
And then providing, going back to that first question, of providing a fair commercial competition?
Absolutely. So, I mean, I think the concerns from a consumer perspective have to come first, and they are point of sale, make sure kids don't get access to it, make sure everything's labeled safely, accurately, the warnings are there, the recommendations are there. So take them out of gas stations, take them out of C-stores, high foot traffic areas, move them to only 21 plus age-gated stores, whether that's a quota licensed liquor store or whether that is another venue that you have to show an ID to enter in the premises. And then allow the, I think putting a total cap on kratom alkaloids as a whole, rather than this 2% limit that's in the current language. So for example, the current language says that the maximum total alkaloid, or 7OH content, can be 2% of total alkaloids. And there's no limit to that. That means I could, as a manufacturer, go make a 20 milligram 7OH product, pair it with 980 milligrams of metrogene per serving, and go sell it, and that's legal. But what I could not do is sell a 20 milligram 7OH product with 0 milligrams of metrogene. So the language currently isn't structured in a way that is, one, safe for the consumer, and two, enables a fair marketplace. The ideal language in my mind would be a total milligram or total alkaloid cap per serving of this product. And also, as Dr. Boyer said, removing this nonsense about multi-servings in a single capsule. So, serving size is 1/8 of a tablet, or 1/8 of a capsule, or 1/4 of a capsule or tablet, or 1/4 of a drink. It's not a reasonable thing there. So there's language that can be crafted that create this fair marketplace and ensure consumer safety at the same time.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Hearing no further questions, we thank you for your testimony.
Thank you very much.
Next up to provide opponent testimony, Mark Schwarman.
Matt Schwarman.
Matt, excuse me.
Usually they get the first name right and then the last name they butcher. So.
Welcome to committee, and proceed when you're ready.
Thank you very much. Chair, members of the committee, thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Matt Schwarman. My company manufactures both kratom and 7OH. I volunteer on the Heart Board to help people recover from opiate addictions. And probably most importantly, which you haven't heard yet today, I am a consumer of 7OH myself. I have 4 herniated discs from a car accident, as well as 2 knee surgeries. I was prescribed oxycodons and obviously was terrified of oxy. So I chose 7OH instead. It allows me to manage my pain, staying completely functional, run my businesses, be a good husband, be a good father, be a productive member of my community because I have access to 7OH. Now, let me say quickly what 7OH is. As most of you heard, it's a natural alkaloid. It comes from the kratom plant, but more importantly, it's also your body's natural metabolite. It's not some random street drug. So when you take traditional kratom, your body will actually convert about 25% of that metrogene into 7OH. So companies like mine are able to replicate the process that your liver does, standardize the dose, and then test it so adults know exactly what they're taking. All 7OH produced in the world is derived directly from the kratom plant. It is not a synthetic. The best analogy I would offer is honestly a vitamin C tablet. If you take a vitamin C tablet, we didn't take 100 oranges and squeeze them in. Labs like mine are involved. That doesn't suddenly make vitamin C a dangerous synthetic. So for 25 years, we all watched in horror opiate overdose deaths in America. They killed over 1 million Americans. In July of 2023, 7-OH first became available in the United States. By the beginning of 2024, it was everywhere, including thousands of shops in Ohio. Something amazing happened that year. Overdose deaths in America dropped over 30%. That's straight from the CDC. That is not our data after 25 years of growth. Further, in 2024, the only 2 states that we could find who had a ban on 7-OH and actually enforced their ban were Arizona and Utah. According to the CDC, the only 2 states in America whose opiate overdose death rate increased were Arizona and Utah. Again, that is strictly from the CDC. That is not our data. And I do understand correlation does not automatically equal causation, and I understand social scientists will be debating it for years. But the statistics are incredible. And also, right here in Ohio, Ohio is one of the largest consumer states of 7-OH. If you look in the last 2.5 years, again, straight from the CDC, Ohio's opiate overdose death rate is now down 51%. That literally means there are tens of thousands of people who are alive today who otherwise would not have been. Now, after speaking to other members of the industry, HART has been able to determine, as you heard, approximately 1.4 billion doses of 7-OH have been consumed in the United States. And while that number sounds crazy, if you just think, okay, 2.5 million Americans are taking it, they take even just 1 dose a day, it only takes a year to hit 1 billion doses. So even though the number sounds insane, it's actually very reasonable. The FDA database, as mentioned, shows only 86 adverse health events reported, and not 1 single death is solely attributed to 7-OH. To give you an idea, as sad as it is, over 500 people a year are going to die from Tylenol or acetaminophen. That's how safe this product is. Now, we all know bans don't work, right? We've seen it with prohibition. We created the mafia. We saw it with marijuana. We funded Mexican drug cartels. A ban doesn't make consumer demand disappear. It just sends it right back to the black market, where you're going to have no testing requirements, no age requirements, no packaging requirements. And now, instead of the proceeds going to local Ohio businesses, they go to drug cartels. Now, as a business owner, I agree, this should never be a free-for-all. I think there are very reasonable regulations that can be in place. You sell this only in places that are 21 and up, and you don't put it in big bags. You put it in sealed blister packs. I am the survey. I'm a 39-year-old male. I'll be 40 this year. I still have trouble opening these blister packs. Like, that's how you make sure kids don't get a hold of it. You put in restrictions, you make guaranteed labeling, and when you do, you cap something, you use an alkaloid, use the total amount, right? Because as my colleague said, when you go percentages and you say this 2% language, great, no problem. I'll just throw 1,000 milligrams of something else in. That just makes the product dangerous. So total caps make much more sense. You need to have standardized warnings, things that make sense you can regulate the industry. And as someone whose own quality of life depends on this product, and I employ people who make it the right way, I would say choose smart regulation over prohibition. Make sure kids cannot get 7-OH, but people like me, if you take away my access, my alternative is Percocet, Oxy, or God forbid fentanyl. And you're going to see millions of people who wind up back on the street buying a black market Percocet. And that's how we got to 100, our peak in America was 121,000 people a year dying from opiate overdose deaths. We're down to 60. And at the rate we're going in 2 more years, the opiate crisis is done. So in closing, I urge you, please oppose this bill or amend it with sensible regulation. And we'll be the first ones here to support and say, hey, take away 80% of the points of sale, put it only in stores that are 21 and over so people like me can get it and kids cannot.
Thank you. We appreciate your testimony. Are there any questions from the committee? Seeing none, you got off easy.
Oh, yeah, no. Okay, sorry, raise your hand. I didn't know if I was
Representative
supposed to-
Sims?
I don't know the correct.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you so much for your testimony today. It sounds, are you equating the reduction in opioids and the overdose and the challenges we had there with people choosing instead Creighton?
So legally, I could not stand up here without, actual testimonies from doctors to say, yes, we can confirm it. However, I can look at the numbers and just go, okay, well, naproxen and these other things, they were available in 2022. They were available in the beginning of 2023, but the opiate overdose kept going up and up. It wasn't until 7-OH became available, and you can look on the CDC charts, all of a sudden the drop started. And as horrible as it was in Florida, the gentleman saw or mentioned when we had the emergency scheduling, the first 2 weeks afterward, overdose deaths tripled. Now again, social scientists, they're going to take years to debate it, and I understand it, but as someone who just looks at numbers and goes, okay, well, 1.5 billion doses are consumed, there are 0 reported deaths, And I myself use it. I mean, there are days I can't turn my neck from the car accident. On 7OH, I function perfectly well. I don't have the pain. If my alternative is Oxy or Percocet, you're driving me to the street. That's why I'm so against the ban.
Quick follow-up, Mr. Chair. So the 1.4 billion doses per year, Ohio being one of the largest consumers, like what's our consumer numbers here?
So in Ohio, the rough estimate looks about 280,000 Ohioans consume the products.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Brian Mock. Welcome to committee and proceed when you're ready.
Thank you so much for having me, Mr. Chairman, Vice Chair, Committee. Sorry, long-time listener, first-time testifier, so if I get the protocols wrong, I apologize. But yeah, my name is Brian Mock. I am a Summit County resident, born and raised in Ohio. I've spent about 20 years of my career in the nonprofit sector working with folks who are homeless, people coming back from incarceration, all of which many dual diagnosis, mental health, and drug addiction. And now I'm the CEO of an organization called End It for Good that works for drug policy reform. And for me, this is an opportunity to go upstream. I've seen a lot of lives destroyed and lives lost because of drugs, and this is an opportunity to, what we do at End It for Good is promote healthcare over handcuffs, to make it really short in less than 3 minutes. And what we really work to do is try to work on drug policy that it takes a kind of economics approach to the free market and that kind of conservative economic approach and look at healthcare instead of incarceration. So when we look at a drug policy issue, especially like Kratom and 7OH, three things happen with prohibition. One thing that doesn't happen is that demand doesn't disappear overnight, right? People will continue to use that drug or a substitute drug. And so that does not change generally. What does change, three things. We say the person changes, right? So instead of it being somebody who's working through addiction, a mental health patient, working generally trauma is the root issue of addiction, right? Instead of it being a health issue, it becomes a criminal justice issue. And criminal justice has a very great role in our society, but it's kind of like a sledgehammer when people need a scalpel, right? So that person, instead of getting health care, gets incarceration, which is more trauma, high recidivism rate, and many times worsens the situation. The second thing that changes is the substance itself. When something's prohibited, there's a market demand to concentrate it, right? If you've ever tailgated, beer is outside the stadium and it's beer and it's low dose, right? If you want to bring something into the stadium, it's not that I've ever done it, but it's done through a flask, right? Whiskey, 151, that dose goes higher because transportation cost goes up and smuggling is easier in high fun. And that's what we see with heroin and fentanyl, right? Is that constant demand to go higher in the concentration and get stuff in, right? So it makes the substance more dangerous by making it illegal, right? And then you don't have the labeling, you don't have regulation, right? There's no control over what it is. So if you're moving in between batches where this batch is 3% fentanyl and this batch is 4%, you can overdose very easily, right? And similar with all drugs when they're not labeled. Third thing that happens, right, is the marketplace is unregulated. If you have a dispute, you can't go to court, you can't call the police, you can't go to the Ohio Department of Agriculture audit, you have to force, gang violence, cartels, et cetera, bad things. In conclusion, we really, at End It for Good, we applaud what we're doing here with Kratom. We'd like the kind of common sense regulation that is 21 and over. It is regulate, it is keep the manufacturers and labeling accountable. I'd specifically and humbly suggest looking at the 7OH specific part, where we're looking at 2%, which is effectively a ban. Having a milligram-based thing is more in line with what people in that space use and talk about on the ground, as well as a rate that is actually kind of in the market of what people are actually using. And I'm sorry, I apologize for going over time.
Very well done. Thank you for your testimony. Are there questions from the committee? Representative Sims.
Where'd you say you were from?
I'm born and raised in Cleveland. I live in Summit County now.
Summit County, yeah.
Right, I moved out of Cuyahoga to Summit.
I appreciate your testimony. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wondered if you could elaborate a little more about the flash thing.
Oh, the flask? Yeah. Well, the brown state and the muni lot. It's a social experiment there.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any additional questions? We thank you for your testimony.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Next up to provide opponent testimony is Jennifer Young. Thank you for being here, and proceed when you're ready.
Thank you. My name is Jennifer Young. I am the mother of Johnny Loring. He was my firstborn child. He was a smart, funny, and loving young man. He graduated early. He texted me first thing in the morning and the last thing every night. He lived with me and his dad for his entire 27 years of his life. April 18, 2024 started as a normal day, a yearly morel mushroom hunt with his father, his uncle, and friends. As Johnny walked out the door that morning, I told him to have a great time, and I loved him. He looked back at me from the door and he smiled and said, "I love you too, Mom." That was the last time I saw my child alive. That was the last conversation I had with my child. Johnny was not reckless or trying to harm himself. He had severe anxiety and PTSD, like a lot of people do these days, especially young people. He found something that he believed would help. He drank kratom tea twice a day. He bought it at a storefront that looked legitimate, a brick and mortar store, kratom only. Clean countertops, labeled products, friendly staff. He was told it was safe and natural, all organic. The staff knew about Johnny's seizures, and they said nothing about the side effects to him, and seemed like they could care less that he was having seizures. He did not use enhanced extracts or standalone 7-OH, just plain natural kratom leaf. He did not take a unusually large amount of kratom that day. He took his last dose of kratom tea 45 minutes before he passed away. He trusted that if something is sold openly and legally, that it was safe, that someone had made sure it was safe and wouldn't kill him, and that trust cost my son his life. After Johnny's death, I began learning what I wish I'd researched before, the risk associated with kratom, including seizure, psychosis, dependency, toxicity, and even death. All documented, scientific literature does exist. Public health agencies have issued warnings. The Ohio Board of Pharmacy received the evidence and applied the law. They reviewed the risk, reviewed 8 statutory factors, the lack of accepted medical use, the absence of established safety under medical supervision. They voted unanimously. I mean, it speaks for itself. They are experts appointed to protect Ohio families. House Bill 587 would override that decision, and I'm asking you to uphold the board's decision. When products are sold on shelves and storefronts, we assume it has been evaluated and vetted. You cannot bring my child back. However, you can decide if the expert review process and the states matter. You can decide whether the unanimous findings of Ohio drug experts stand, not for me, but for Johnny. It's too late for us and my family, but for the next mother or father or loved one, they still have time to protect them. My son was found face down in the outskirts of Wayne National Forest, lifeless. His tongue was bitten completely in half from the force of a deadly seizure. Please let his story mean something to you. I oppose House Bill 587. Thank you all for listening, and I wanted to put into consideration that 18 countries have banned kratom, and there is no drug testing for it. So people can go and get jobs, be law enforcement, whatever, and they don't get drug tested for it. And it is a derivative opiate. People want to compare alcohol, cigarettes, Tylenol. None of that is sold as safe, all natural supplements. Please take into consideration what I'm telling you and just do the right thing. My son had 990 milliliters of mitragynine in his system and seizure meds. Mitragynine is a stimulant of low doses and a strong opiate effect at large doses. I brought a picture of my son for you guys to see my boy. His life is cut short. Our hearts are broken. He had one seizure 3 weeks before he died. I have pictures from the hospital visit, but I'm not going to share them with you because it's hard enough for me to look at them. My baby is gone. My firstborn son. Forever. My best friend. People can sit in here and defend something that kills But I want you to listen to me when I tell you and I plead with you, this stuff is poison and it needs to be banned. I'm here for other parents like Dan and myself and my husband to tell you guys that this has to stop. Thank you.
We thank you for your testimony today, Representative Newman.
Thank you to the chair, and thank you, Mrs. Young, for coming in to testify today. And again, I wanted to voice what probably everyone on the committee wants you to know is that we're terribly sorry to hear about the loss of your son.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to talk and give testimony in spite of the difficulty and the grief that you've gone through. And I know it's difficult to talk about your son's seizures and manner of his death. It's very difficult, and we appreciate that. And so my question is about just a bit of that. If you don't mind just explaining a little bit more. You referred to your son's seizures. Can you just relay a little bit more about
He
that?
had a handful of seizures. He began taking kratom in about
I'm sorry.
20
I'm sorry. I want to hear all that, but did your son have seizures before he ever began
Never once
using
in his
kratom?
entire life.
Okay. Go ahead and explain the rest.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. My son began taking kratom in 2021. He had his first seizure in May of 2021, shortly after beginning taking it. He had did a short hospital visit for the weekend to keep him under, to watch over him to make sure he was okay. And he'd had maybe 4 other seizures before his death, a handful of them. We had no idea it was kratom that was giving him the seizures, and the doctors couldn't figure out what was going on with him because the drug tests were coming back okay. The doctors and the ER didn't have scientific data to understand kratom, and most of them, like you, had never even heard of it. And 3 weeks before Johnny passed away, he came in from work. He was a delivery driver for America's Floor Source. He loved his job. And I will add to you guys that before Johnny started taking kratom, he dealt with a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. He was a very shy boy. He started taking it, and he did seem like he was better. He could go to work, and he could focus, and he could, his anxiety had eased until it hadn't, until he started having the seizures. And 3 weeks before he passed away, he came in from work. He went into the kitchen to get something to eat, and I heard a loud boom. I went into the kitchen, and my son was on the floor having a massive seizure, blood gushing from his face. And of course, I called 911. I pulled him on his side and tried to console him until the ambulance got there. We went to the hospital. Doctor said there's no substances in his system. We don't understand what's going on here with him. They referred him to a seizure clinic that was for May the 9th, 2024, and my son passed away April 18th, 2024. He had not gotten a chance to go to the seizure clinic because his life was robbed from him. He'd only had a couple of seizures before he passed away.
Any additional questions? We thank you for your testimony, and thank you for, I know it would be extremely challenging to relive this, and we appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Members, I would draw your attention, there's additional written testimony on your iPad. We ask that you spend the time and read that. There's quite a few of them. Those that were here today to testify in person, we thank you. And this concludes the third hearing of House Bill 587. With no further business before the committee, we now are hereby adjourned.
The thing that I want to say is that she forgot to mention the gabapentin.
I thought that was okay.
Her.
That's the one. Okay, that's the
She
one I was
forgot to
thinking
mention
of.
the gabapentin. She did not trust her son with gabapentin. She dispersed gabapentin to her son. Gabapentin was found in the backpack.
Why was you taking gabapentin if he didn't have no medical issues? Also, just saying, makes you think.
The internet's forever.
Yeah, and then also, yeah, 20, this Becky Haas says, never had seizures till he started taking kratom, but he kept right on taking it. Yeah, it's like you wouldn't want to try and cut it out, like get down to the nitty gritty of why you're having seizures.
I had epilepsy. I have epilepsy. I have not had a seizure in all my almost 7 years of consuming kratom.
But it's like if you did, you would try and like cut out certain things to figure out what was going on.
You would do the process of elimination.
There you
Now,
go.
looking back on my seizure, just being diagnosed with epilepsy, it could have been that I was making my brain misfire because I was constantly getting high for 2 weeks every month and then going through withdrawal 2 weeks of every month.
Yeah.
My
Yeah.
brain didn't know what was up, what was down, what was left, what was right, you know? And then
you were wearing it out.
yeah. I was making my brain misfire, you know? And that's just me having the hindsight's 2020 thing, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like shit, I had a seizure one time when I ran out of my pain pills. I took some tramadol and I had a seizure exactly 30 minutes after I took that tramadol.
Did you?
Yep.
I used to call those sugar pills.
But yeah, you know, and it's like seizures happen.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even Dr. Boyer or whatever, like when he talks about the whole seizure thing, it makes a lot of sense. Like,
yeah, whenever he was talking about that, you might have already had an underlying seizure disorder.
And you just didn't have a seizure until just so happens.
Yeah.
But, you know, kratom does not cause it.
But
regardless on what Michelle Ross says.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Like, I don't know if Mike's still here, but you did the hearings that we've seen, the Seven Hope people throw kratom under the bus.
Yeah. This is the first one I've seen where they didn't.
It's insane.
But she be getting a little unhinged anyway.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, she didn't say shit about the gabapentin.
For real. I mean, gabapentin's prescribed for everything nowadays. Like, they even prescribe it to my brother's dogs for their anxiety before they go to the vet and stuff.
Dude, when I had to go, when my dog had to get her emergency hysterectomy done, is it called hysterectomy? I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, because she had that closed pyometra thing going on.
Yeah.
And she had to, you know, have emergency surgery, and they gave her gabapentin afterwards. I didn't give her no gabapentin. I gave her CBD.
Yeah. It's crazy. Oh, wow.
What a freaking day.
I was just thinking that. Woo!
I'm over here still uploading those other hearings on TikTok right now. I'm telling you, whenever I upload these hearings that are hour long, it takes forever to upload.
Yeah, gabapentin. I took gabapentin for 6 years, and I took it for nerve pain for my neuropathy. And I mean, it didn't help with my neuropathy. I didn't know that, you know. I mean, I was 25 when I first got transverse myelitis. I mean, I took what the doctors gave me.
Yeah.
But when I had to get off of it, you know, it did not, like, it messed with me, you know, the withdrawals. But I mean, I didn't have like pain. You know what I'm saying? It was still the same.
Did you have the brain zaps?
Yeah, dude, I had the brain zaps also with Effexor. And it was like a whole body getting shocked or something.
Yeah.
Horrible.
I used to take gabapentin whenever I'd run out of my pills, you know, and I took them to get high. I was high as shit. I was high. No, it's still, I think it's got to go to the Senate side or something like that. I can't believe what happened in Michigan.
Yeah. I'm still trying to absorb that. Today has been a hell of a day.
How do you bypass that? What's up, Nathan?
I've
Yeah.
never heard it.
I understand that they want their voices to be heard. I understand that. But you know, like I say all the time, is that my state, Colorado, has an amazing KCPA here. And it's named the Daniel Breger Act. The father had a change of heart somewhere along the way and decided that he did not want kratom banned. He wanted it regulated, you know, and it's called the Daniel Breger Act because the coroner.
I mean, that's a, I mean, I don't know. I've never thought about it till you mentioned it the other day, but I think it's a great way to have your loved one remembered.
Yeah.
You know, instead of banning it and taking away people's livelihoods, have it regulated. Be hardcore. Enforce that shit. Call it, you know, whatever your kid's name is.
Yeah. Michigan said going to okay. I mean, oh.
No, it wasn't as bad as I anticipated, but
like
I don't know.
The whole fact, like I said in my comment, the 7-OH dealers created the demand so they can supply it.
Yep. And that whole bullshit, that stolen valor crap about how the overdose. Get out of here. There's not even, the numbers aren't even out to be able to actually, you know what I'm saying? There's no concrete numbers on that, dude.
Yeah, when they talk about the Florida overdoses went up 2 weeks after it was emergency scheduled. Like, motherfucking, that 7-OH was still on the shelves.
Yeah, it's like, where y'all getting y'all's numbers from? Out your butthole? Right out your butthole. Yeah. I don't know. And then the whole, you know, it's natural. Yes, it's natural inside our body, but the shit y'all make in a lab or whatever, it's not the same.
It's not. It is not the same.
And you can't make me, that'd be like, I saw there was like, you can grow meat in a laboratory. You know what I'm talking about? Like, laboratory produced meat. That ain't the same as that cow outside.
Right.
And you can't convince me fucking otherwise.
Right.
It's not the same. Not the same. I ain't eating no lab ass meat. I ain't eating no lab meat. Bro, I'm eating a cow outside. If I gotta kill him myself. Oh. Yeah. And as far as Tennessee goes, it ain't over yet. I told my husband, I was like, it's not over till this crippled lady goes to change herself.
I swear.
To the Capitol.
I'm telling you, throughout my years of advocacy, we have never had to advocate this hard.
No. Yeah, 0 deaths from 7. Yeah. Well, and when they're like, there's been 0 adverse events because everybody calls it kratom.
Yeah,
That's why there's 0 adverse events. Get out of here.
And what 7-OHer is going to take time out of their life to report an adverse event?
Yeah.
You know?
And all the adverse events of the poison control centers and all that shit, they're putting it as kratom.
Yeah. Until February 2025, when they finally put the code in for 7-OH, but still, people are calling in and saying that they're having a whatever problem with their blister pack.
7-OH kratom. I hate hearing 7-OH kratom.
I hate that.
Whew. Anyway. Well, I guess we're going to get off here. We've been on here all...
Man.
It's been a long day.
Long day. Almost 10 hours.
Yeah. But because of kratom.
Yeah, because of kratom. I've been able to sit my big ass in this chair. And my back ain't screaming at me.
Yeah. All right. Well, everybody, I hope everybody has a good night.
Yeah. Have a great night. I'm gonna go chill with my daughters.
Saying, well, I'm gonna go chill with my son.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Wait, hold on. Mike's asking, you guys hear about Congress senator letter sent to FDA to include? Yeah, I just read that.
What now? What now? Oh.
I just read that.
I saw some headline about from National News article.
Well, this one is from. Hold on, it's taking forever to upload.
Which senator?
Ricketts. Ricketts' letter calls on the FDA to address kratom scheduling loophole. So he doesn't think it's fair that the FDA only wants to schedule 7OH. He wants kratom involved too.
Well, good luck, buddy.
Kratom does not meet the 8-factor analysis for federal scheduling, period.
Yep.
7OH does, however.
Good luck, buddy.
If nobody is having an adverse event, it entirely benefits them to report it being from something currently legal. Yeah, yep, rather than getting in trouble for illicit substances. Yeah, yep. Kratom is always, I've seen it time and time again of it being the legal scapegoat. Because little Johnny didn't want to tell mommy, that he was taking illicit substances or hell, gabapentin.
Yep.
Little Timmy. Okay, we gotta get off here.
Timmy. All right. Bye, everybody.